Welcome to Technical University. Today, we're going to jump right in and unlock the primary operator toolkit in Siemens PCS 7. Let's really get to know button set 1.
Okay, first things first, let's cover the fundamentals. This is the default set of buttons you're going to see the second you start a process mode, so it's super important to know the basic rules of engagement here.
The first thing you'll notice, and it's the most basic cue, is color. If a button's grayed out, it's inactive. That tells you something's missing. Maybe you don't have the right authorization or there's another dependency. But if it's colored, you're good to go. It's your instant, at-a-glance status check before you even think about clicking.
So, this very first button, its job is pretty straightforward. It just toggles you over to button set 2. This ability to switch between toolkits really highlights the system's flexibility. In fact, ever since PCS 7 version 8.2, you can even customize these button sets to perfectly match whatever your plant needs.
All right, let's move on to the core system functions. This group of tools is really all about getting you logged in and pulling up key process data as fast as possible.
Think of the password button as your main gateway into the system. It pops open the logon screen. Now here's a really key security feature. When you log out, it doesn't just end your session. It completely disables all operator controls until someone else logs in. And interestingly, you don't need any special permissions just to bring up this screen.
Up next, we've got the message system. This one is your direct pipeline to the incoming alarm list, showing all the unacknowledged messages for the areas you're authorized to see. And check out the smart design here. When you click it, a whole new set of buttons appears, just for handling those messages.
And then there's the Logs button. This gives you a bird's-eye view of all the system logs and even the print jobs from your session. Basically, if you need to troubleshoot something or audit what happened, this is where you go. And because it's so important, you'll need authorization for area to get in.
Now, this one is one of your most powerful tools for analysis for sure. It lets you actually chart out how process values are changing over time. For spotting trends, diagnosing issues, or optimizing performance, this graphical view is absolutely crucial. As you might guess, access to this also requires authorization for area.
Okay, what if you need to jump directly to a specific piece of equipment? Well, this button lets you call up a graphic just by typing in its measurement point name. Its tag. It's the most direct way to get around when you know exactly what you're looking for.
And this next one is kind of its sibling. Let's say you don't know the tag, but you do know the screen's configured name. Well, this button gets you there just as quickly. It's just another direct path to help you navigate efficiently.
All right, let's switch gears a bit. This next group of buttons is all about navigating the hierarchy of your plant's process pictures. Honestly, you can think of it as your plant's built-in GPS.
So this button lets you move up one level in that plant hierarchy. It's kind of like zooming out on a map. You go from a really specific unit to the bigger overall area view to get more context.
And, as you'd expect, this next button does the exact opposite. It moves you down a level, letting you drill into all the details of a sub-area. These two buttons, up and down, are basically how you move vertically through your entire plant structure.
Now this button moves you horizontally, showing you the process picture that's to the left. This isn't about moving up or down for more or less detail. It's for navigating between things that are side by side, like parallel production lines or adjacent sections of the plant on the same level. And this one, of course, completes that directional set, taking you to the process picture on the right. So, with these 4 buttons, up, down, left, and right, you've got the entire plant hierarchy right there at your fingertips. Super intuitive.
Now these two should feel really familiar. They work exactly like the back and forward arrows in your web browser. They just let you cycle through the pictures you've recently looked at, which makes it super easy to retrace your steps or jump back to a screen you were just on.
Okay, let's dig into some tools that let you, the operator, save, recall, and manage your screen layouts. This is all about making your workspace as efficient as possible for you.
This pair of buttons is so simple, but wow, is it powerful. Store Picture basically takes a snapshot of your current view like a bookmark, and then Retrieve Picture instantly brings that exact view right back up. It's a huge time saver.
But what if your setup is more complicated? With multiple windows and pictures open? Well, that's where screen compositions come into play. You can save, recall, and even delete entire workspaces. The key thing to remember here, though, is that these layouts are tied specifically to your user login, and you'll need authorization for area to mess with them. This button here pulls up the plant's configuration screen from a tool called LifeBeat. Think of LifeBeat as PCS 7's own internal health monitor. This screen is absolutely vital for checking the status of all your hardware, your servers, your clients, your automation systems, the whole shebang.
This one's pretty straightforward, but you'd be surprised how often you use it. It just opens a little box with all the info about the current screen. So if you're ever wondering, hey, who made this graphic? Or when was it last updated? This is the button you hit.
And finally, let's talk about the last two buttons. These are for acknowledging alarms, both the ones you hear and the ones you see. And they're so critical that you'll also find them over in button set 2.
Okay, this first one silences the audible alarm, the actual horn in the control room, but, and this is the really critical part, hitting this button only acknowledges the sound. It does not acknowledge the underlying alarm condition that caused it. It's basically the, okay, I hear it button.
This button, on the other hand, is the one that acknowledges all the visible alarm messages on your current screen. This is the I see it and I'm taking action button. And because you're confirming the alarm, you'll need Operator Process Control Authorization to use it. Thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe. For more details, visit us at technicaluniversity.com.
Welcome to Technical University. All right, let's talk controls. In any big system, you've got your day-to-day buttons, and then you've got the heavy hitters. Today, we're diving into those heavy hitters in the Siemens PCS 7 system, button set 2. We're going to peel back the layers on the advanced controls and the admin functions that go way beyond the basics. So, here's the game plan. We'll kick things off with the whole concept of button sets, why they even exist. Then, we'll walk through every single function, group by group. We'll start with navigation, then hit the specialized control centers, move on to direct process controls, and wrap up with the really critical stuff, system and alarm management. Okay, first up, let's get our bearings. Before we start clicking buttons, what even is a button set in the PCS 7 world? Let's break down the role it plays for an operator. So the whole PCS 7 interface is built around this really smart, simple idea. You've got two different standardized sets of buttons. You can think of button set 1 as your everyday toolkit, right? It's for all the common, frequent tasks. But with just one click, you can toggle over to button set 2. And that's what we're here to talk about today. This is where you unlock a whole other level of specialized high-power functions. All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty, starting with the basics. These first few buttons in set 2 are all about getting around the interface and accessing some core system tools for a bird's-eye view. And first up, it doesn't get much simpler than this, the Change to Button Set 1 button. This is literally just your escape hatch back to the default view. As you'd guess, it's a basic navigation feature, so no special permissions needed here. Anyone can use it. Next, we have the Process Tag Browser. Now this is a really important diagnostic tool when you need to dig into what's happening with system events. You click it, a new window pops up, and just like that toggle button, it's open for any operator. No special permissions required. Okay, this next one, changing the UI language. It seems simple, right? But it's actually a big deal because it's our first look at the security layers in this system. See, unlike the first two buttons, you can't just click this one. An operator needs what's called monitoring level authorization. It's a simple gate, but it's a clear signal that only certain users should be messing with display settings. Okay, now we're getting into the really cool stuff, the optional controls. These next few buttons are totally modular. They won't even show up unless you've got the specific software packages for them installed and licensed. It's like adding expansion packs to a game. So what are we looking at? 3 very distinct, very powerful control centers. You've got the batch control center for, batch processes. You've got SFC Visualization for sequential controls. And for managing how materials move around, you've got the route control center. Each one is a dedicated command post for a specific kind of industrial job. So if your plant is running somatic batch, this is the button you'll see. It fires up the batch control center, which is basically mission control for all your batch operations. The moment an operator clicks this, the system behind the scenes is checking to make sure they have the right batch permissions before it lets them in. This next button launches the Sequential Function Chart, or SFC, visualization tool. As you can probably guess from the name, you need the SFC visualization package installed for this to even be an option. It's absolutely essential for monitoring and controlling those step-by-step sequential systems. But there's a key detail here. This is for process mode only. That means you can operate and monitor, but you can't go in and start reconfiguring things from here. And our third specialized tool is the Root Control Center. This one pops up when the Somatic Route Control Client package is installed. Think of this as the air traffic control for your plant's materials. It gives operators all the tools they need to watch and control the flow of materials, making sure everything gets where it needs to go, safely and efficiently. Okay, so we've covered navigation and specialized monitoring. Now we're shifting gears to active intervention. These next functions are about an operator directly reaching into the system and manipulating things like messages and data trends. This is a great example of a function that works in pairs. Imagine you're doing maintenance on a piece of equipment. You really don't want your screen flooded with a bunch of routine alerts from that unit, right? So you hit the lock messages button, and it temporarily silences those triggers. Once you're done, you hit unlock messages to turn them back on. Now, because this is a pretty powerful way to intervene, both of these actions require process controls authorization. This one is the Trend Group Display, a super useful analytical tool. What it does is let an operator see how a single parameter, just one value, is trending across 4 different timeframes all at the same time. It's great for spotting patterns. And because you're actually configuring how data is displayed, it's also locked down behind that process controls authorization level. All right, we're at the final section, and these are the highest level functions you'll find in Button Set 2. We're talking about system-wide administration and the absolute bedrock of responding to alarms. This button right here opens the User Administrator. This is the control panel where you define the permissions and access levels for every single operator on the system. As you can imagine, this is a massively critical admin function, so access is locked down tight with a very specific user management authorization. And here we are, the big red button. Metaphorically speaking, Exit Runtime does exactly what you think it does. It shuts down the entire process control session. This is a huge deal, a major action, so it's protected by one of the highest permission levels there is, System Change Authorization. You don't want just anyone being able to hit this. Finally, we have 2 really essential alarm management buttons that are actually just copies from Button Set 1. Acknowledge Horn is for when you need to silence that blaring audible alarm, but leave the warning on the screen. An Acknowledge Message is what you hit to clear all the visible alarms. Because these are such universal core operator functions, neither one of them requires any special permissions. So let's just step back and look at the security model here. This table really lays out the clear tiered system of permissions in Button Set 2. You start at the basic monitoring level, then you move up to process controls when you need to actually intervene. And from there, you climb all the way up to user management and system change for those top-tier administrative functions. It's a really logical progression. So, what's the big takeaway here? Really, Button Set 2 is the command center for advanced control. It gathers all these powerful permission-gated functions into one logical place, while still keeping basic stuff like navigation and alarms easy to get to. And what's really smart is its modular design. It means the interface can be perfectly tailored to what a specific plant actually needs, with no extra clutter. You know, a deep dive like this really makes you think about how much goes into good interface design. It leaves us with some pretty important questions, especially for anyone designing these systems. The big one is, with all the customization that's now possible, how can a facility take this standard layout and really tweak it to optimize their specific workflow? It's all about turning a powerful tool into a perfectly tailored one for your own plant. Thank you for watching this video, and please subscribe. For more details, visit us at technicaluniversity.com.